So today we're going to have a look at the very last circle theorem. So this is rule 10. Okay, it's the last one you're going to have to learn, but it is probably one of the more complicated ones in terms of being able to use it. It comes with a formula, so it's unlike all of the others. Technically, it's called the intersecting chord theorem, but you won't be actually asked to state the theorem at any point. So we're going to have a look in a little bit more detail on this one. So this is the theorem here. If two chords, PQ and RS, so remember PQ is one line. It doesn't matter if it's inside the circle or if it's extending outside the circle. So PQ is the chord that connects those two, but it can be longer. Okay. And RS, so remember R and S go together on that particular chord there, cross at a point T. So again, the point T could be inside the circle or outside the circle. Then we have this particular formula. So P to T multiplied by Q to T is equal to R to T times S to T, okay? So this works, doesn't matter if it's the inside circle one or the outside the circle one. So that particular rule will work for everything. However, they're going to throw questions at you that aren't necessarily labelled with those letters, so you have to be in a position to be able to do that yourself. So it is important that you learn that formula and that you can recognise that the intersection of the lines is the point T. So that's the important bit on this one. I've colour coded it here so it's a little bit easier for you to work out, hopefully. So P to T is the pink line. Doesn't matter again if it's on the inside or on the outside. So P to T is the full length on this one. Okay, QT then is the yellow line. So from the intersecting point there to Q, and just this small part here and so on, so that you can see the colours there to help you. So if you've got a highlighter, that might come in handy for these types of questions. Right, there were two questions below. Okay, first one's hopefully a little bit more straightforward. Second one's definitely a little bit more complicated. So we'll go through both of these in a little while. If you want to give them a go though, remember to try and label each of the points, okay, with letters that are useful to you. And then when you're ready for me to go through it, hit play again. Right, so we're going to start off by just looking at question A. So my starting point, as I said, is to make sure that I label each of the letters with the appropriate letters of the formula that you want to learn, because you don't want to have to learn a million different combinations. You just want this one formula, and as long as you know that T is the point where the chords intersect, we can label that T. So in this case, it was Z. We're going to call that T. I wouldn't cross it out, because when you get to some of the questions in exams or in the textbook, you will find that they talk about AZ, and then if you cross them out, you won't know which one's which at the end. And therefore the other points need to be labelled as well. So remember, P and Q are on one chord. Okay, so I've labelled AP and CQ, and R and S are the other chord, like so. At that point then, we're going to use our formula. All right, and I've colour-coded it again so that you can see which line goes with which part. And we can either use that formula and ignore the other bits now everything's labelled, or you can rewrite a formula for the particular question. So PT is the same as AZ. Okay, QT is the same as CZ, RT is the same as BZ, and ST is the same as DZ. So we can label it that way and help us. And then we just want to fill in all of the information that we've got. So our AZ is 3, our CZ is 6, our BZ is 5, and we don't actually know what DZ is, so we can put all of that in. We can then simplify that down so that we know 3 times 6 is 18. That's equal to 5 times DZ, and therefore to get DZ on its own, we would need to divide by 5, and you get an answer of 3.6 centimetres, and done. Okay, it's not a question where they ask you to state the rule, okay, or the theorem, but it is one where you need to know the formula so you can substitute everything in and use it appropriately. Right, let's have a look at question B. So this one was the trickier one. It's got some algebra involved as well, so it is taking it right up now to a top end, sort of a grade 8 question at this point. So if we have a look at this one, and again, our starting point is to try and label everything. So where the two chords intersect, we need to label that bit T. In this case, that's our Y. So I'm going to put my T over there. And then P and Q are the first chord, so up the top, and R and S are the second chord. And what's good to remember, it doesn't matter if P and Q are back to front and R and S are back to front, and it doesn't matter if you labeled this P and this Q and up the top R and S, as long as P and Q are one chord and R and S are the other chord. That works for any of the questions. Okay, then I've colour coordinated it again just so that you can see which bits go with which, and we can write out our formula and start filling in different parts. So if we wanted to use the formula for the letters they've given us, then that would be EY times FY equals GY times HY, but you can stick with the original one, that's absolutely fine once you've relabeled it. And then we need to fill it in. So EY is the pink line. That's G plus 2G. The M is for meters, okay, so that's our unit, so don't confuse it with anything else there, that's why it's got the little gap between it. So actually we've got G plus 2G on this bit, and then QT is just 2G. GY, okay, so that's from down the bottom here all the way up here, the blue line is 4 plus 9, or 13, and then HY is our 9, so we end up with this calculation. We want to simplify it then, so my G plus 2G is going to give me my 3G, and my 4 plus 9 is going to give me 13. Then we want to actually do the multiplication, so my 3G times 2G is going to give me 6G squared, and my 9 times 13 will give me 117. And then we just need to rearrange it now to get G on its own. So the first thing I want to do is divide everything through by 6, and I get 19.5. And then I want to square root to get rid of the square. That's going to give me G is equal to 4.42 when I've rounded it to 2 decimal places. So again, you've got another worksheet to have a go at. I'm sorry, it is a little bit worksheet heavy on this one. It's the only way we can build up your knowledge of circle theorems. With this particular rule, so the intersecting chord rule, is very unlikely to be paired with any of the other rules because it's quite a standalone one. It is a new one for the new GCSE. So have a go at the questions that I've got set. If you've got some colours, use them to help you. And please do use the help sheet if you are stuck on anything whatsoever. Okay, good luck.